my mother was a real estate associate,
Okay.
and from an earlier area from
Okay.
the 70s, and she thought it would be a good model for me to get my license and a good career for me to choose, and I thought she was crazy.
Really wanted to take you guys deep into Craig's story. I wanted new agents, seasoned agents, or people just interested in real estate in general to see what it takes to build a real estate team and to build a real estate brokerage. My honor, my privilege today is to interview a mentor, the broker, the owner of Keller Williams Heritage, Craig Owen. So Craig, thank you for being on today's show.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you for
Thanks
the
for
invite.
your couches are lovely, so thank you. So I wanted to get to know you a little bit more, and I wanted the people watching to get to know who is Craig Owen, how did Keller Williams Heritage become what it is today. So give us a little bit of background on how you got started in real estate and what age and where were you at the time?
Well, thanks for, first of all, being present here and helping provide a little contribution to help other fellow associates, and hopefully we'll be in turn looking at this business as a career and for clients. I think it's a pretty humble beginning. I started like many of the folks. My career started when I was 19, pretty young, pretty much out of high school and going to college, and it was a humble beginning. My mother was a real estate associate, and from an earlier area from the 70s, and she thought it would be a good model for me to get my license and a good career for me to choose, and I thought she was crazy. I said, well, if mom did it, maybe might as well try. Yep. So I took my license, and I didn't pass it the first go around. Okay. I don't think that's a determining factor of a man's success or a person's success. I didn't pass it, but the second go around I did. I studied for it, and I had like many of the agents getting to it, I went a whole year without a sale.
Wow.
Whole year. And
why? Why a whole year? Was it you were 19?
Yeah,
you didn't know
19.
Anybody,
I was, the immaturity and the lack of probably not having, at that level in the game, and many years ago, there wasn't. The education was very different. We didn't have the video, the digital age was not there, and we didn't have. There wasn't necessarily the training mechanisms we have today.
Yep.
And so a lot of it was, taught word of mouth, was taught one-on-one.
Yep.
I did have, obviously my mother being a great mentor in my life, I still lacked the maturity and wisdom and discipline and accountability to do certain things, activities daily, and getting those rituals. I didn't have rituals.
Yep.
I think today, looking at it, I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from that.
Yep.
Is I failed forward, but it was a failure of just of innocence, not knowing.
Okay. What's your first sale, if you remember? Do you remember it?
Yes, I do. I recall. I think one of the first sales I made was on 142 Burrell. It was in Vance Jackson over by La Fagata.
And at the time, do you remember the amount? Like at the time?
I want to say it was like in the 20s.
Okay. Wow.
I think 28, 30,000.
Really?
32,000, something like that. It was pretty low.
Kind of crazy what the home prices are now,
yeah.
right?
I think I imagine what that home price is today over off of in Delview would have done pretty well.
When did you turn the corner as far as starting to become more of a sales machine, and what was, give me some of the highlights of your years as far as sales and volume?
Well, I think the first year, obviously it took me a year to get my one sale down and find one homeowner to do business with me. Through the years after that, I think it became easier, but I think the first couple of years it was probably no more than 10 to 12 transactions the second year.
Yep.
Third year, I think it was probably 15 to 20.
Okay.
And it progressively went up over the years. We went through several eras. I mean, I remember in the late 80s, it became more of a HUD market. HUD foreclosures, VA foreclosures, REO properties were very prevalent in the Northwest, Northeast. The market we really needed those sales to occur because it was, even though they were foreclosures, people were still buying.
Yep.
And it provided income for me and my family. My mom and I were a team at that time. And over those years, I think it definitely led into future sales because when you're first getting started, there's no repeat or past client base. It's all, it's all just prospecting based because none of us had money.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of our time and energy prospecting on a daily basis, either forced buy owners, working expired listings. I remember those days, making a lot of calls, a lot of pop buys, dropping by forced buy owners and asking them for the interview, just saying, give me an opportunity to prove my worthiness and just give me a shot. I would like to interview for the job. And those were the very humble beginnings. It wasn't, it wasn't rocket science, and we didn't have social media at that time to leverage ourselves.
And that was the era where knocking on doors wasn't a big deal. People weren't scared and trying to keep everyone out either.
I think, Chris, even back then, I think to say that it weren't, no, I mean, there was still a fear of rejection. Rejection's been with us for all this age. I don't think it's been just recently that, I think it was not just a physical fear. It was just the fear of being rejected with a door slamming in your face. But that era, we didn't like it, but we still did it. We knew that I knew there was going to be doors slammed in my face, but I knew that I wanted to eat as well. And I think to me, it was more important that my objectives be met, or I didn't eat. There was no commission.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had to hear a lot of no's to get a yes. There was a lot of no's, and I just had to turn no's into not now. It was just not now, but maybe later.
How did you get the brokerage?
Well, I think it started out with me being a top agent in the company and being a student of the game. I think I do believe that over the years of becoming a top agent, I ran a team called the Owen Group, and later I sold that team when I went into my first leadership position as the manager of the office, or we call that as a team leader. And my partner was Mark Willis at the time. I had a limited partnership with him here at this office, and we were off of Blanco Road over it was pretty much a secondary retail space. Those were very humble beginnings, and we built it. Basically, we only had I think at the time, I remember when we first started with KW, we probably had 30 agents at the company, and 30 agents became a couple hundred agents when I took the reins over from a previous manager, and we lost, Chris. I think my first year, I think I lost 80 or 85 agents to the company that left for a different office because my leadership style and who I was. It just there was a huge amount of rejection coming into it. There was some definitely some battles getting into the business and becoming the team leader for the company. There was some dissension. And I had to make some major changes because the company wasn't doing well at that time. So for me to come in and they changed the coach, the team went backwards for a year or so. But after that, I stayed steady as the captain, and we instituted a lot of changes. Became very learning based, lots of training. We instituted a lot of the Keller Williams models that weren't being followed, and because of that, we started making the company a place where it was no longer a place of promotion, it was a place of attraction. And it's a lot easier when we are building something where you're attractive, you become attractive to others based on what you become and what you want to become and what your mission and vision and your core values, than you are as a company of promotion. If you're having to promote it that hard to people to come to it, then maybe you're not that. So when we decided to change to become a company of attraction, and we set some standards by not becoming a company where we allow every agent, where we're not just taking part-time agents, we're not dual career company, where we're really saying this is a profession for full-time agents who want to seek this business to be the very best. When we started saying no, we got more yeses. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So our standards became higher. We became a place where people wanted to hang their license with. And so we went from a couple hundred agents down to about 150, and then from 150 every year we started building. And throughout the years of my leadership, along with the folks I went into business with, and we are now sitting at almost 1,100 agents in Keller Williams Heritage, the largest Keller Williams franchise in the nation, in the world. And this office does more units, more home sales than any real estate Keller Williams office in the nation. And hopefully this year we'll pass the 10,000 unit mark. 10,000 homes in 1 year. It would be pretty amazing.
Does having the standards high standards. Does that challenge you personally? Because you have to live up to those every day, and people are watching you all the time.
I think so, no question. And sometimes I fall short. I mean, I do believe that business life, like all life, is there's ebb and flow. There's going to be good days, and there's going to be some days that maybe aren't so good. But I don't think it's really a necessary day. It's just maybe moments that aren't as pleasurable as others. But we have a choice to make those changes. And it's a daily recalculating ourselves and recalibrating who we are and what we want to become. And hopefully surrounding yourself with people that give you grace. And has some forgiveness and allow you to expand, because that's the only way we're going to grow. Is we're going to fall. And the great thing is you put people around you that are willing to hopefully catch you just like you're willing to catch them. When there is a fall, make it a good one and get back on the horse.
I don't know if I would have chose Keller Williams, only because I only went to where my brother was.
Sure.
So only by default then I'm
point of reference,
right? That's it. But I'm so glad I did, because what I can say is, coming from the new guy perspective and not being 19 years old, being 43, having 20 years of experience in the workplace, I could pretty much tell you that without a doubt, I could ask anyone anything in this office and they would drop what they were doing, whether they were an agent or whether they were one on your leadership team or the staff. Craig, this office does work like that, where people are coming from contribution. So I want to tell you that. You've done a great job in at least setting the tone. When you started as a team lead, you had to stop selling.
Yeah, we don't allow our leadership to compete with our. It's one of our values here is we don't compete with our agents. We don't see that as a benefit, and we believe that to really have a great company, we have to have our agents back. We don't want to compete in the same area with them.
Because you stopped selling, is there a point where you ever missed it?
Home ownership and finding that home for a prospective buyer, or selling a home for your client that needs to sell because of all kinds of challenges from getting married to divorce to changing a life to a spouse has passed away. What is wonderful thing is almost you feel that servant leadership to provide that is it doesn't even feel like selling. It really feels like you've been given this right to be appointed to help in one of the most stressful areas of a person's life is their home. Buying and selling. It's a very important and very emotional transaction. I don't even call it transaction. I like to call it more, the purchase and sale is such a relational and emotional set of things that have to be done for our families, that it does require a person that has empathy, and the best agents do have empathy and have the emotional discipline to keep it between the lines and making sure they're guiding that client the best they know how. So I don't really feel like it's sales. I really feel like you're anointed to help someone. One of the most powerful things in life is home ownership.
So really, the sales is just getting them to agree to work with you. And then from there, it's just guiding them through a process and taking them through a journey, if you will, right?
And knowing, and you're being proactive and seeking the best outcome for their situation, for their scenario, for their objective. And when you do that, you build clients for life. And that repeat and referral business comes just naturally. And now building a system around that just allows for more business to be had by the agent, to build systems around that by hiring the right people to help conduct that business and taking it to levels never seen before. The agent of the 70s could never imagine what the agent of 2020 today. It's like a super agent.
Totally different.
Totally. Now, here's the great thing. The values are no different.
Correct.
It's the way in which the business is done today through technology and through systems and models that have been perfected and through algorithms that the agent of the 70s could not see and couldn't even imagine.
And now they look very different in how we conduct our business. But how have you seen it on your levels, a little higher level, as you look down on the trees from like a 10,000 foot view? What do you see is changing?
Well, first of all, I think that an agent today with a social media and digital marketing set of rituals or skill sets has the ability to leverage themselves and perform at a level never seen in the industry. Because if an agent of the 70s could perform a presentation in the home of the Johnsons on an evening after work, the only ones that see that were the Johnsons. And he could have killed it. That agent could have killed it at that presentation. All the sound bites, all the right objection handling, all the right scripts and dialogues, and the right presentation style with the right voice inflection, the right voice tonation, everything just be on par. Who does he influence the most? One person. Yep. The Johnsons are the only ones that will sign that agreement that night. But what if that super agent in 2020, today, videotaped that same presentation done with technology, video, audio, and recorded that, and then took that and allowed the entire internet to see, millions of viewers see that same presentation. He just leveraged himself, he or she just leveraged himself, not by one, but by millions of people. And now this social media has allowed agents of the day to be able to duplicate themselves and to be able to use resources to as a megaphone to produce unbelievable results. And so today, an agent could take literally one presentation and turn it into 20 listing agreements at the site, just one video. The ability to also mastermind and systematize and place it on a consistent basis where the human mind can't think at that level. By setting in place digital marketing campaigns and using algorithms that see who they would see it and who wouldn't based on what the interest of that consumer is, allows an agent of the day to maximize on every single channel. You couldn't do that on the medias of the 70s. Like maybe there was some radio, which would have been a big one, or TV, but it was not reasonable enough. The average real estate agent couldn't afford it. Couldn't have capitalized on it. It wouldn't have allowed it. So they had to use basic prospecting methods, or maybe some general. You used to see real estate agents with, in some markets, you still see billboards or bus bench ads, and that's fine. But that's still, social media has leveled the playing field for a consumer to see a big company and maybe even a real estate agent that has a small footprint of marketing and branding can be just as big as a huge company.
Absolutely, yeah. So what keeps you up at night now?
What keeps me up at night? I would say I still sleep good. So,
good.
But I would say that some of the challenges I see of the future will be that as we move forward in the technology arena and with the age of the real estate age, of the agents of today, I hope don't lose sight of being a fiduciary to the client. I'm a little concerned that as we see discount brokeraging and brokeraging where agents charge very little, I also see the hazard of the clients getting less and less, and so it's a slippery slope that once your value proposition becomes just price, and as that gets continued to be lowered, I am seeing less and less activities that support the client's best needs and wants, because it comes down to price. So I do believe that we as an industry need to keep in mind that yes, price is extremely important, and commissions, it can't set that by any one board or government. That it's against the Sherman Antitrust law. So that is always going to be a competitive nature that we live in, but not to give up where there is people become more functionaries than fiduciaries. And the difference between a functionary and a fiduciary is one may be able to give you the information, but a functionary can do that. A computer can do that. Zillow can give you facts. but to interpret the facts, it requires a fiduciary. It's a very different set of, functionaries can give it, fiduciaries extrapolate the data and can give advice and counsel and take liability as they do it. Functionaries don't take liability. They would rather say, it's no guarantee, this is what it will be. But to me, that's not the highest and the best that a client would need in business.
If you were to give advice to your 19-year-old self now, what would you tell Craig Owen when he was 19, when he got started into real estate?
What would I tell myself at 19? That's a good one. I know what I've told my son, but now he's 26. I would probably say that a couple of things. Keep the emotions between the lines. I heard that even earlier from one of our top agents here in the company, Scott Maloof was talking about that with some other folks. And besides that, be careful with fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. I loved that when I heard that earlier. I think that we need to be mindful that this industry, it's today, even in this day and age, the complexities and the systems and technologies and all the just overwhelming amount of knowledge and skills that must be built, we gotta start being a little more graceful with people to learn it. And it's unfortunate, this is an industry that I see a lot of people get into it and then get out of it pretty quickly because they don't withstand the amount of time it takes to build on this career. Malcolm Gladwell has written a lot of books on this particular issue about the 80-20 principle and becoming the 10,000 hour rule.
10,000 hour rule,
And unfortunately, we're in industries today that take a enormous amount of energy, emotional discipline, skills and knowledge to learn and develop and master, and it takes years to do that. So I want to stop judging books by their cover and seeing one thing that happens and the next thing you know, that person's out because they couldn't withstand it after a 6-month trial. This is not an industry to get into for 6 months. This is a life journey. It's taken some of these people years to build a career. And we got to be mindful of that. So when I'm telling my children today, don't expect to learn it overnight. Some of these people have learned the skill set. It's taken them 10 to 15, 20 years to build on.
A lot of at-bats, a lot of strikeouts.
And there's a lot of my top agents here that have struck out numerous and countless times before they get the bat to get a home run. And most often don't get a home run. They just get a base hit.
Singles and doubles.
Singles and doubles.
When I decided to go into real estate, I basically had to get permission from my wife because it was yet another thing I was going to go do without a salary. And we got 2 kids and all these things. So she said, well, how long do you think it'll take for you to know? And I said, well, I think in 3 or 4 months I'd know if I'm going to be any good at it. And she goes, I'll give you a year.
Well, that's probably good advice that she gave you.
And I was thinking,
you did a lot sooner.
I was thinking, I'll know in 3 or 4 months if I should even be here. Like you get a sense of I enjoy it or I like it. I may not be good at it at the beginning, but I like it and I could see myself doing it. But she thought a little bit bigger, and so you're right about it takes about a year to get all in to try, and even then it might not even be the right time to quit.
I've seen people get into this business over a year, and it's still been a very hardship and a challenge. And I tell people, I have to remind them, I say, look, it took me a year to get one sale, but here's the deal. There is a level of commitment that one needs to make getting in this business. I was on a top agent panel just earlier today, which your brother served on earlier. And one of the top agents, she was doing about 35 million in sales, Lori Jarrett. She challenged the entire team, all the folks there at the office and the students in the room, about 35, 40 people. She challenged them all to get up this next week at 5 o'clock in the morning. Get up at 5 o'clock and get into engagement into action immediately from the time they get out of bed and get to the office. And even if they're not sure what their day consists of, start getting into a consistent routine. And through those disciplines, business will be had. So I guess the deal is here, if one can start celebrating the attitudes and the willingness to take action, bless that and give that the A+. start grading on the attitude and actions you take more than you give results. Because results may not happen immediately. Like, just because you want to lose weight, you may not see it for months at a time. But internally, you have to build those roots and get in control before you see any results on the outside.
Absolutely. As far as what advice would you give to 20, 30-year seasoned agents now with the changes in technology? With all of the changes, real estate.
I'm going through the same thing. Yeah.
What would you give the advice to those agents that may be thinking about, you know what, maybe this is the time to kind of shut it down. Maybe it's gone too fast and I can't keep up, and the old way of doing it is not worth it anymore. I can't. What would you tell those people?
It's funny, even when I was in the business in the 80s, there were people, Chris, that were using the MLS book. It looked like a catalog. And that was our MLS system. It wasn't computerized. Wow. And so even during that era, we were getting people out of the business because they said we couldn't make the change to a computer database to check out home sales and the homes that would be on the market. And so when the board stopped producing the monthly MLS book, we lost a lot of membership because they felt that they couldn't keep up with the change of time. So we can't say that the change of times only took place here in 2020. And that there has been a constant journey for people coming in and out of the business. So I don't believe it's just this era. I think it's any era. We have to be willing to take on the journey and look at this as a lifelong journey, not just today and tomorrow. It's are people willing to become life learning students of the game? Because it is a game. Life's a game. Business is a game. And if you can have that mindset going into that, I'm going to work on this. It's how are you going to eat this elephant? It's one small bite at a time. And so for 30-year veterans, they unfortunately we get a little bit lazy in that sense. They start getting business only because of their pass, cut, and repeat, but they're not getting it because of new lead generation models or new technologies. So if you can embrace this one at a time and just say, I'm gonna implement this, and like we have a new CRM and some new technologies in our company called Command for Keller Williams, a great technology that. Let's face it, our new agents are embracing it far more than our veterans. But I do believe that the veterans over time will get on. It just takes them a little bit more.
You're moving a bigger ship. The Titanic takes a lot longer to change course, and you got a little rowboat. And those are the new agents, and they can just move around.
And and since they don't have any systems or anything yet set up, it's easier for them to make those changes in technology and some of the systems and models that they have had to follow. There was no model to follow. And unfortunately, some of the veterans have had really great successes using certain models. They may not be willing to transfer their businesses to that other platform. If their businesses are going well, they may decide to keep on the level of technology they're doing.
Getting to this point now, how important is it for you to tell people like what it takes to give up? Like, what do you have to sacrifice in order to get where your goals, whether where you are or if you want to be a top agent? Like, be real with people. Like, what do they have to give up initially?
Well, unfortunately, this business is a very time-intensive an emotionally draining business. No question. It is to do it at a high level, and I've never seen one that hasn't. It does take a lot of time. And being committed to putting the time into it and focus on the right activities, you will get the best results. I'm not saying that you have to switch everything in your life to be nothing but a workaholic and work 80 hours a week in real estate. I will tell you that there's the very best real estate agents that are at a high level and performing at a high level do focus their efforts and their energies on a daily basis with putting lead generation and lead follow-up and putting, which is lead generation is marketing or prospecting in a very focused hourly basis as the majority of their hours at work. So if they're going to work a 40-hour work week, I'd say a lot of top agents or mega agents are working minimum 50 to 60% of their time in not servicing, but in lead generation, lead follow-up, and giving presentations.
Okay. So would you say that leveraging out, especially for seasoned agents, would leveraging out technology, would leveraging out social media, would getting someone else to help you with that be better because you could continue to do what you were doing with its good presentations?
Yeah, I do believe that you can leverage on many aspects of social media. But I think, as a top agent, one of the big parts, until you build a team on your own, a lot of individual agents need to be the front and center on that presentation, on that video and audio, because I think clients will identify with them.
Correct.
And as if they want to build a team long term, yes, I think they could have others that would enact that and would be able to present that.
Yep.
But having a social media presence as a single agent,
yep.
very, very, very important. Doesn't mean they have to do all the background work, the administration, the people behind the camera, and the people editing, and the experts that help them get it out to a digital world. But I think they need to be willing to investigate and willing to invest in some time to create somewhat of a digital presence with their. And now videos, it's not the blog of the day is very different than the blog of even 5 years ago. The blog of the day is what you're doing now. It's video, and so we need to start getting more comfortable being uncomfortable in front of a video camera.
So, and that's the thing. I've been shooting my own stuff. I've been setting the camera up, doing open houses, walking by, moving the camera. And one day, I think it was before I called Collin, it was like 5 weeks ago, I said, I'm tired. I can't keep this up and continue to do the level of videos, because now I actually have deals. I actually have clients. I'm actually selling.
You're servicing now.
So now I'm servicing. So I said, okay, I'm going to pay this. And so now it's been great because I'm basically leveraging out.
Yeah,
I'm leveraging out on the other side of the camera.
I think you have to look at yourself on a level of return on your investment and really the return on energy. So I look at the fact that if I know in my day-to-day activities, the highest and best use of my time is not filling out contracts or not doing administrative duties and activities, not doing accounting. Doesn't mean I can't do it, but it's not my strong suit. If I know my greatest asset is being in front of buyers and sellers and influencing them into making one of the greatest, biggest purchases of their life, if that's where my greatest return on the investment is and my energy, then I need to be putting 20%, the top 20% of my efforts on those, and leverage out the other 80% to somebody else to make that their 20%. So my 80 is someone else's 20. My 20 is not their 20, because I know that 20% of what you do in a given day accounts for 80% of the results. So what you just did was you're leveraging yourself to areas of what you know would give you the best return on the investment.
Absolutely. And I think with technology, what it does do, like you said, the level of training is ups now, but the amount of information that's freely and readily available is all there.
Unbelievable.
So you can literally learn how to become a real estate agent on YouTube. You
Sure.
could now.
Sure.
Whereas when you started,
there
you had to have a one-on-one mentor or go to a sales training or go somewhere and spend all that time, right? You couldn't do it at 11 o'clock at night watching your iPad and learning the scripts.
The level of intelligence being given today is insurmountable. It's the digital age has allowed us to become mega producers very quickly.
Absolutely. All right, last couple questions. Why Keller Williams Heritage?
Well, it's funny. We changed the name to Keller Williams Heritage when we moved from our Blanco location. We were called Keller Williams North Central, and we felt that was not embodying anything other than just being
a location
geographical, and it didn't mean anything. So it was funny when we were trying to come up with a name that we would be like leaving a legacy and leaving something that would be, that we'd be proud of. They just happened to be naming the building in this area Heritage Oaks, and we tossed around before we found this building was the word heritage, and we just thought that was a great word for who we are, who we've become, and our heritage, the way we started this company. It's the first Keller Williams office to open up before the second office. It was before the headquarters. The headquarters was 01, which is out of Austin, Texas. The first Keller Williams to ever be founded. This was the first franchise to be given. It was Keller Williams San Antonio, and it was Market Center 02. That's our identity number for our franchise. And we decided to change it to Heritage because of our background and where we've become. And so why did we choose it? Why am I here? I think there's a couple of reasons. I was influenced by my earlier mentors, one being Tony Romero and also Mark Willis, my past business partner, I was very influenced by them and their thinking that they put a lot of emphasis in training and education.
Yep.
It was a really big part of their value proposition.
Yep.
And at that time, I was starving for education and training, which I wasn't receiving where my former brokerage. And besides that, I wanted a place where there was definitely more of a voice. And we didn't have this thing called ALC, the Associate Leadership Council.
Yeah.
At that time, it's unheard of. So that the people have a voice in the way the company is governed, and the way we conduct the company and give the rights to all the agents, not just the top end, not just the top agents, but to all of us, and to have a fair system that was equitable to everyone.
Yep.
So we had a split, not only a great split, but it was everyone would pay the same amount, and there wouldn't be one person paying less or getting a better deal. That was really.
So it was like that before?
Yeah. Well, the model was given to us by Gary Keller. We didn't have anything else.
I see.
It wasn't another company. It was only at Keller Williams, and at the time they had this thing called profit share, and I wasn't a bit concerned with thinking, well, it won't probably change my life at the time, because it was nothing I'd ever heard of. Having a company that has like a retirement program, but the more and more I saw it happening in my life over the years, it started building.
Yep.
And the day when years later, it's accounted for probably well over $1 million of payments made to me since I've been with this company. That helped me for many years when my parents became elderly. That helped support their lifestyle. So it was truly a gift that kept giving back. So those are a few of the reasons why I joined this magnificent company. And today, to see it grow now on a world basis of 175,000 agents, it's incredible. It has made so many families at a different place in their life. It's really changed lives.
Yep.
Not just homeowners, it's changed careers and changed the lives of people in this industry.
Yep. Well, I will tell you that it has completely, and I think I've told you this before, and I've told some other people, I told Lisa this. This has changed my life. And my brother was on me for almost a year to do this. And he sold me the way that he knew how to sell me, and then one day he got real smart, and he kept selling me on the money because he was doing really well, and he wanted me to do well. And he's just like, okay, if I'm doing well, then Chris will do well because he's got a family. I'm going to keep talking about how great of a month I had, and I'm going to that it's real. It's real. And my issue was I was a husband and a father of 2 young kids. Mm-hmm. My brother wasn't around much while he was while he was doing well.
Yeah, that's right. He worked hard that first year. There was an internship he had to go through, just like a doctor or like a lawyer.
And I equated not being around for your family to real estate.
Got it.
And if I was going to be successful in real estate, then I'd have to give up that. And so I was kind of like, not going to happen, not going to happen. And then one day he said, Chris, you're really good at all this marketing stuff and you're doing it for all these people. What if you just did it for one person and it was just you? And that's what that literally was like, that makes my life easier. So yes, I'll work, but I only have to do one thing, because at the time, all I was doing was doing all this stuff for like 7 companies.
Wow.
And I was all over the place, and I was kind of, they were using me a little ragged and stuff because I needed to get paid.
You were being pushed and pulled in so many different directions.
So when I joined in June of last year, in December of last year, I made more money in December than I did the whole year before. That whole January through November, Craig, I made more money in the last month.
Wow.
And my wife finally is like, what's going on? What's up with this deal? When's this closing? And now we're that husband-wife where she's pushing me, so I'll just tell you, thank you from the bottom of my heart, because
thank you for being associated with our company.
Completely changed my life in such a positive way. And I wanted to have you on. Sorry, I'm getting emotional because it's amazing. And I get to work with my brother, and I get to tell stories. We get to tell stories about our clients. We get to tell stories about the people on our team. And I do this because I want to share my life.
Yeah.
And I want people to see it, because I think people should get into real estate, and I think people should see what an amazing career it is. So the more people see it, the more people have the opportunity to make the decision.
This is inspiring for me to see it. I truly, when we said it changes lives, it truly is, I think, making us all better people.
Yep.
Chris, it's been an honor to be on your podcast today.
Thanks.
And I hope to sometime return the favor.
No, absolutely. Thank you for your time. I know it's very valuable and precious. Thank you for your mentorship and for your guidance and leadership for Keller Williams. We'll see you very soon, Craig.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate it.
All right.